Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, part number 1 of this React Native podcast application tutorial. So in this one, we're gonna just install kind of like maybe like 7 library, but it's just because it came kind of like in a bundle. And we're gonna also prepare, build the, create the app iframe. So first thing, just because before we go further, and I want to just explain to you, it's the GraphQL endpoint. It's what we've learned in so in my latest tutorial, we did create like this kind of GraphQL endpoint where we are able to search for podcasts and stuff like that to the iTunes API. So finally, we were able to get like search a podcast like Full Stack Radio. One sec. The thing it's pretty slow here because I'm using the free tier in Heroku because I want you to have access to this URL if you do not want to follow this GraphQL tutorial. So that was the thing. So we get a search. We were able to search for a podcast. So here I did create a search query, and now finally here we can create a feed query where here we get with the feed, we pass the feed URL. And now here we can get like the title of each of the podcasts. And the reason why we did create like a GraphQL layer was first the iTunes API is in JSON, that's perfect. But the thing it's all the feeds came from XML stuff. And in React Native, it's pretty, not hard, but I don't like to do this, like parsing XML and transform that. So, and this is finally what we've done here. If you want to look, it's pretty simple. We just take the XML and parse that to Golang. Golang push to GraphQL, create a JavaScript object, that's it. And I push that to Heroku. For those who have built this tutorial and just want to know how I push that to Heroku, was pretty simple. You go in your terminal, you write Heroku create, and git push Heroku master, that's it. Go, it's so simple, so you have nothing more to do. So that's it for this Golang stuff. This URL, I'm gonna push that in the description. So you're gonna be able to use this one for the endpoint. I'm gonna talk about that later also in the video. So in this part 1, we're gonna install my library design utility, React Native design utility. The reason why I use this one is because first, Tailwind become pretty popular, and I'm pretty sure my solution here in the design utility really kind of follow what Tailwind kind of do in the HTML. And this is something I use every day now in all my projects for the past 2 years. And I really love it. I just go really quick with that. And because it's a React Native tutorial and not really like just a design tutorial, so I don't want you to lose too much time. If you don't want to use that, box it's equal to a view, text it's equal to a text, that's it, and you're just gonna style by yourself. But this is the one I'm gonna use. After that, what we're gonna install today, it's gonna be the ReactNavigation stuff. But before that, we need to start the project. So it's really from scratch. So you see here right there, I don't even have the folder yet. So the way you work now with React Native, and also with a lot of npm package, where before that you need to install like the CLI globally in your machine. Now you can use something called npx. So npx finally, it's kind of like the npm script. So you can just run a script versus installing the library and pushing that, finally using this from your machine. So finally, it's kind of like you're just gonna use that from the registry itself. So that's gonna be npx React Native init. And here we're gonna call that podcast, my podcast maybe, my podcast. So the template here, so init mean you init the project. Here is the name of the project, and here where I did -- template React Native template TypeScript, it's just because I just want to make sure then that's gonna be TypeScript plus this come already with the TS config, the TypeScript installing in package.json, some other stuff like Prettier and things like that. So I really love it. If you click enter, everything should work. If it don't work, the issue is because you have React Native globally already installed, and you should delete this one. So npm-g unit install React Native. It's just because finally, I think they have some kind of confusion when they came both together. So you need to uninstall this one. But yeah, it's So you're gonna see like this kind of a lot of unsupported stuff. Don't worry, take not too much time, but at the moment you see this welcome to React Native and you see those things, you know everything's gonna go well. So we just need to wait a little bit. And for now, the version of React Native, the latest version right now, it's 62.2. So that's gonna be the one we're gonna use in the tutorial. If you came from the future, maybe look at the package.json from the repo I'm gonna link in the description, because a lot of people ask my sometime, hey, this thing don't work anymore, but the version of React Native I use in one of my tutorial is 3 years old. So yeah, a lot of things change. So now, the way you make it work, I'm gonna use iOS for this tutorial. You can use also Android, everything should work. You just need some other stuff to do. It's just because in my machine, I don't know why, but when I run two simulator, he don't like it. I know why, it's because the RAM, but plus ScreenFlow, plus I use WebStorm, and it's already like a gigabyte of RAM, so yeah. So after you finish, you just need to do cd podcast, my podcast, that was the name. So now we are right there. So now, if we look at the folder, we have everything we should have for starting. So app.tsx, the test folder, Android, iOS, and all the other stuff. So now, what I want to do when I finish to this point, I just want to start the project. So the way you work is you say yarn start. So yarn start work because if you look in the package.json, we have a script right there, start, we call React Native start. That's it. So now you see, welcome to React Native, everything looks all right. Or do we run that to the, to the simulator? For me, I run React Native, npx React Native, run iOS. So now they're gonna find your project to Xcode, and they're gonna launch your latest simulator open. So in my case, that was an iPhone 11, iOS 13.5. And now that's the only time where it's pretty slow. So you need to build your project for the first time. So don't worry if here it takes at least a minute. It's the first time and it's pretty slow. But before we go further also here, and the time is doing this, I'm gonna open my text editor. If you use Visual Studio Code, you can open Visual Studio Code like that. For me, I always use Insider, but you can use code like this. For me, I use WebStorm. And if you ask why do I use WebStorm, it's been almost 2 years now since I use all JetBrains product, and I just loving it. Like, yes, it take a bit more memory, so the machine it's a bit slower, but it came with a better refactoring. I think a better TypeScript support, but it costs money, so. So you should continue to build. In this time, I just opened my WebStorm because right now it's indexing. If you use VS Code, it should be pretty much more quicker than me. But in this meantime, we can just look a bit in the folder because just to see how the project work. So here we have the index.js. I'm gonna remove those format stuff at the top. If you ask what is this 3 dot, it just JetBrains kind of like make it like in one line finally. But the way you can just open it is just by clicking on it, or you can do a command plus, command minus, like that. Okay, after that we're gonna have the app.tsx. So here it's the main point of your application. So you see inside your index.js. One sec, to process running. Just now they go with ESLint and everything. One sec. Okay, it's done. So you see in the index.js, we import the app, and when we register the application, we register its main component with the app name coming from app.json. So the app name it's right there. So you take this app and just return it. So that's the two only file we have. The other thing is the app.test, where you can just run the test. From here, I'm gonna just remove the format also. After that, we have prettier. The only thing I need to do, because I'm using WebStorm, it's I need to do command comma, and I just need to tell WebStorm which prettier we use. So you click here and you just choose the one from your prettier config from your node module. And when you apply, now this is your version of prettier and not the version from the IDE. So now you see everything looks perfect. Now it's opening. After that, this is running the bundle. That's it. Now we have the new version of React Native. So we have also the hot refresh. So if I don't know, like you see here, we see step 1. I'm gonna just make it smaller. And also, I think I'm gonna just make the font a bit bigger. Okay. So here, if we look step 1, I'm gonna change that to step 2. At the moment I save, boom, you change it right there. That's perfect. I love it. Really nice. But the thing is, we don't want to start with all this boilerplate stuff. We don't care about all these things. So that's why, like, I'm gonna install already my library, and after that we're gonna go further. So first thing is we need to make sure we init that to GitHub. And I like this point to say it's my initial commit. That's perfect. Now after that, right there, for me, it's always gonna separate that in part. So I'm gonna say part 1. This way you can follow that from GitHub. So you can just open this part 1 and you're gonna see everything we've done from here. So now here, I want to install React Native Design Utility. So that's my library, where finally came with kind of like a theme and stuff like that. It's pretty simple to use, you're gonna see. So now the only thing you need to do with my library is to go to my repo, and I just need to take this initialize commit theme stuff. So it's node module React Native Design Utility, and we call from the this commonjs init.js. If I click enter, one sec. Did I miss something? Oh, okay, I know why. It's because it's lib. CommonJS and init. Okay, sorry. I just need to change the readme. That's something I changed this morning. Sorry about that. And now the thing it create a file called theme.js. So this theme.js came with a lot of color. So I took those color version pre-1 of Tailwind. I know now they have changed a lot. So inside the theme you have the text size. So when you say a size of a text small, that's going to be 14. You can add other stuff, and you have a lot of things here. You're going to learn how to use it pretty quickly. Now the only thing is I don't like to have the stuff in the root folder, so I create a directory called src. I'm going to create another directory called constant, if I can type it, and I'm going to move my theme.js inside my constant. Now the thing is, this file, it's JS. I don't kind of like it, so I'm gonna just rename my file to theme.ts because we're gonna use TypeScript. After that, inside my app.js, I'm gonna do Command A to delete everything. Sorry about that. And we're gonna start from scratch. So we need to import React first. After that, we create our app component, and we make sure to export default this app. And after that, we're gonna return. And from here, this is where we're gonna start with the utility theme provider. So from React Native Design Utility, we're gonna import utility theme provider. And inside this one, you can pass it a theme. And the theme is gonna come from the theme file we just add src theme. And now, yeah. After that here, just to make sure it works, I'm gonna import a box. So a box, remember, like I say in the video, it's kind of like a view. Then we're gonna have a text where I'm gonna say hello world, and the text came from this one, like that. So now if everything is working, we should be able to say hello world, perfect. Now I can say F1 center. F1 center mean flex one and center the thing inside. So adding item center, justify content center. And just to see if everything is working, I can say text large, and color I'm gonna say gray. Boom. or red, maybe it's gonna be simpler. Yeah, like that. So the theme library is installed. So we have done one of the library we need to install. Now we're gonna jump in the React Navigation. So for the React Navigation, it's pretty simple. You just click here on React, read the docs, you choose yarn, and you start to install the library you need. So the first one is we need React Navigation. So here it's the organization, and we need a native library. After that, we are not using Xcode, so we need to install everything. So you click here on yarn, you click copy, and you paste again. So we need to install reanimated, gesture angler, screen, safe area context, and the masked view. After that, how do we install native library finally? Because inside that you have some native dependency. It's now you can run npx pod install. So npx pod install, what do you do? You do cd iOS pod install and cd ... So you come back. So now you see we did install those 5 native library, and now at the moment you install a native library, you have no choice to rerun your React Native run iOS, because you need to make sure that yes, the pod are installed, but you want to ask Xcode to just kind of like rebundle everything and building everything and make the app working back with the native module. Because if you don't do this, it don't gonna work. It's not a JavaScript library, so you cannot like get this without. So now you see everything looks perfect, everything looks it work, but we don't see that yet because we didn't use nothing. Now we just need to copy this line, gesture handler, and we're gonna paste that. I always do this at the top of app.tsx. So now we need this thing, and after that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna import the navigation container from React Navigation native. So you import this thing, and now I'm gonna remove that, and I'm gonna put my navigation container right there. But now the navigation container need the thing we're gonna ask, the navigation stuff. So this is where we go further, and we're gonna start with a stack library. So React Navigation stack. So a stack in iOS or Android, it's kind of like a page where when you change page, you push another screen each time. So you can have like a model or something like that, but it's a new screen. Like it's not a tab screen. It's a new screen. Like it's a stack on each other. So that's kind of why they call that stack. And the way that works is gonna be pretty simple for us. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna here inside my src folder, I'm gonna create now a new directory called component. And inside this directory, I'm gonna call another directory called home, and I'm gonna, like that. And inside home, I'm gonna create a file called homescreen.tsx. I'm gonna just say, remember, don't ask again, and. Here I'm gonna import React. I'm gonna create my own screen. It's gonna be a really simple one where we just return a box with the flex 1 center, and I'm gonna have my text say home screen. I'm gonna export default home screen, and I'm gonna just import the text. That's the only thing I don't know why I'm never able to import the text. It was the same issue I got in VS Code. So here I'm not gonna need that from app.tsx, and now I need to create a navigator. So what I'm gonna do for my navigator, it's inside src again. I'm gonna create a new file inside a directory called navigator, and that's gonna be called main stack navigator.tsx. So inside src navigator folder, main stack navigator. In this one, I'm gonna import React from React. After that, I want to get this create stack navigator. After that, I'm gonna start by doing main stack equal create stack navigator. So this way you create an instance of stack navigator, sorry. And finally, you create a component called main stack navigator, who it's a wrapper over the thing you're gonna need. So one sec, here I just need to make sure I export default. And now here what you do is you return, and now you say main stack. And main stack, it's a compose component where you have access to Navigator right there. So you need to wrap your main stack. You need to have one layer where you're gonna use the Navigator, and inside this one you can reuse main stack, but now that's gonna be a screen. And now a screen here, you could give it a name like home, because in our case we're gonna have home screen. So now if I save and I jump back to app.tsx, I can import now my main stack Navigator like that. And now if I reload, sorry, I didn't have time to refresh. Boom. And now you see what we got. We got a stack navigation. So that came by default with the header. We can remove it if we want. And here we have a title called home because that came from the name here. So if I would have called that, I don't know, like about, that would have been called about. And now you see, they kind of push it to a new screen with the animation, but it's not, it just, I think it called reset, something like that. So, and now you get your home screen like that, and now you're gonna be able to play with that. So that's it for this video, this part 1. So in this part 1, you just need to make sure you have those libraries installed. So make sure you have native community mask view, React Navigation native, React Navigation stack, design utility, gesture handler, reanimated, self area context, and screen. So a lot of library, but no choice to use it. So that's kind of why, it's the reason why I did just copy and paste those lines. It's just because it's painful to write. So yeah, so I hope you enjoy. The repo is going to be in the description. Remember, it's going to be in part 1 if you just want to follow this part. And yeah, and we're gonna talk in the next one where we're gonna continue kind of like just building the foundation, and after that we're gonna be able to work on the logic. So I hope you enjoy, and we're gonna talk in the next one. Bye everyone.